Hey, what's going on, guys? So, I wanted to jump on here and go through a little bit of onboarding and just talk about some of the updates. So, this is going to be a refreshed video from the last one that I did. So, I've made a lot of new things, created a lot of new things with SnapShield. But before I even get into that, first off, I just want to thank you guys for the continued support that you've given me and SnapShield. That has really been able to give me the time to pour into SnapShield to further protect photographers, which has just been an incredible journey. Also, secondly, I want to thank you guys for your patience as some of you know that have kind of started, right from the get-go. Some of these features have been rocky to start, but we're really starting to solidify this. At the time of this video, we are coming up on our 5th month of officially launching SnapShield. So it has just been an incredible journey. As you can see from this page, we're already over 100,000 screenshots blocked, as well as multiple millions of events have run through SnapShield. So if you are a Protection Plus subscriber, then you're going to see all of those events in your dashboard as well. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So in the dashboard, this is just going to give you kind of an overview of the screenshots blocked, whether they were desktop or mobile. Obviously, most of these are coming from mobile. So this is just kind of a nice little place for you to kind of see everything. So when you first sign up for SnapShield, and this specific tutorial is going to be Got Photo related. So this is going to be very, very specific to the Got Photo platform, just to kind of start that out. So what you'll do is you'll come to your settings and go ahead, fill in your organization name, and so on. You're going to pick your platform as Got Photo, and then you're going to put in your primary domain. Now, if you have multiple Got Photo accounts, you can add a domain for a discounted price. The domain, this is going to be your .gotphoto domain, unless you have a reroute. And if you have a reroute, you know what I'm talking about. So a custom domain, you will put that custom domain in here. This is actually checking the validity of your domain to make sure that the protections are covering the right domain. So if you have the wrong one in here, it will not work. So this is very, very important. So go ahead and pop that in there. And then if you have any team members, just have them sign up for a SnapShield account, and then you can just go ahead and add their email here. That'll link all the accounts together, so that way you could have office staff or whoever, checking on some of these things. All right. So the next thing you're going to do, once you have all of that solidified, you're going to jump into your templates page. And in the templates, there's a couple different options. So we have checkbox, consent buttons. If you have the lockout feature turned on in your system, then you're going to see lockout message, and then you'll also see shield mode message. The lockout feature is an added feature. It doesn't cost any extra, but I have to personally turn that on for you. So there is another video that I need you to watch before we activate that lockout feature. So if you are interested in the lockout feature, reach out to me or my staff, and we'll go ahead and get you going on that. So to talk on these just for a second, the checkbox is an all or nothing. So they have to consent. They have to check that box in order to move forward in the process. Okay, so this is really, really good for, no screenshots allowed at the beginning of the page. It's really good for at checkout saying, hey, I verify that all of my images are correct, they're cropped correctly. I'm guaranteeing my photos because I know these go to the lab, things like that. The consent buttons is going to be a yes or a no. Whichever one they pick will still move them forward. So for instance, you could use this at checkout for a model release, because obviously we don't if they disagree with the model release, we don't want to stop them from checking out. So that's the difference between those two buttons. The lockout message, again, if you have the lockout feature turned on your account, this is specific to that lockout feature. I am not going to cover lockout feature in this video. Again, I have an entirely separate video for that specifically. Shield mode. So shield mode is when somebody leaves their screen, it's going to pop up a message. So this helps with snipping, screen recording, any of those functions. So that's kind of a nice one to have. But it can get overwhelming. So the one thing I want to tell you guys is start off easy on some of these protections and then build as you go. I know a lot of people, anybody that's having issues with customer complaints that are using SnapShield, it's typically because you guys got it locked down like Fort Knox. And there's every checkbox, every consent button, right-click message, everything. And so obviously it can get a little overwhelming. So I prefer to start with something a little less intrusive and then building into that as you kind of see some of the events. So you'll go ahead and pick your template type. The title, as you can see down here, I've got this no screenshots allowed. So if I pull this up, the no screenshots allowed update, that is the actual title. And then this is the message body that I typed in there. So this is what it would look like, and it would force them to consent before they can continue. All right. So this is my shield mode message. Again, I just kept it very simple. I've got some other playful ways. Again, this is all fully customizable, so put your flavor on it, right? I've got an account locked, and then this was one that I did for right clicks. So the right click message will only populate once. It's not going to populate every time they right click, but it does let them know that this is also being monitored. And I think that's a lot of this is just education to our clients. All right. So when we go into generate, if you've been a SnapShield user for a while, you're going to notice a few different things. So in the create new embed, what you're going to do is the embed name is totally internal, completely up to you on what you call this. I usually, especially if you've got multiple shops, just to keep them separate, you can put in here, this is blackout mode, or this one's going to be specifically for blur, or whatever you want, right? So you can make that whatever you want. This opening page template, so this is going to be when the page first loads in Got Photo. This is the page, or this is the template that's going to populate. So the parents can either click on a consent or what have you. So I have this as no screenshots allowed. Checkout page, again, completely up to you on how you set that up. You don't have to have it. So again, you can keep these completely blank, but I do think the opening page is definitely important. The checkout page, completely up to you. I do like the right click message. I think a lot of parents, they do think that they can go and just right click and save, and because it's not a screenshot, that's okay. It's not. In fact, fun fact, most parents actually will try and right click and save, because if they can save the photo that way, they actually get the full res image. If they try to actually take a screenshot, it only gives you the resolution of the page. So that's fun fact. So if you have multiple embeds like I do, you'll see all these embeds here. If you don't, the primary will automatically populate there. So this is your desktop protection mode. So you can click here, and I've got a couple different modes here. So the blackout mode is any hotkeys that will trigger a screenshot. It will black out all of the images. So personally, this is my favorite for desktop because it's, again, the least intrusive. When parents log in, they don't even notice that something is wrong unless they're trying to do something wrong. So that is the blackout mode. Now the blur mode, there's a couple different options here. and you can see down here with the blur direction. So we've got horizontal, which is going to blur the top and the bottom. We've got vertical, which is going to blur the left and right. Quadrant is going to split it obviously into 4 squares, and then it'll rotate that square. The thirds is actually going to start the strip in the middle, and then they can flip it to the top and then flip it to the bottom. So this has actually been the absolute most popular one. And then the spotlight is a little circle in the middle, and then they can actually move it around to see the image. So it's a little more interactive, but yeah, I would say thirds is definitely the most popular. Spotlight is by far the second popular. And then the other 3 just kind of fall into line. So now the big update that we currently have is you used to see mobile blur, and then it was either on or off. Now we've split it to iOS, iPhone, or Android. So if you turn this on, you're going to notice that we actually have a blackout mode now. So when a mechanical screenshot is taken, it is going to black out the image. If they try to screen record on iPhone, it is going to black out the screen. So iPhone is pretty locked down. I would say 99%, so it's pretty locked down. So this is the big one. This is the big feature. There is blur as well. So if you don't want to do the blackout mode, you can keep it on blur. Now, if you already have an account, if you refresh your page and go and edit your embed in the Generate tab, then you can choose that blackout now. It is active and it is live. Now, for Android, Androids are a problem child. Android does not currently offer the same blackout mode. I'm working with them on this and trying to come up with a solution for that. But, so currently Android is still blur, and again, you can take that off if you do not want it. I will say I am creating an app called Gallery Pass. That is coming very, very soon. It's at the App Store. We're just waiting for approval. And then we will have something very similar to the blackout mode for Android. So then down here, you're going to see the lockout mode and then the shield mode as well. So you'll just go ahead and generate that embed. And I'm not going to generate it just because I've already got one up here. But once you generate it, it's going to populate up here. And then, again, specifically for Got Photo, you're going to see old shop key and new shop key. So let's go into Got Photo. So there's 2 different places to put these keys. So the old shop key, what you'll do is you'll go ahead and copy that. And you're going to go into online shop. You're going to come down here to your code. And then you're going to paste that right here. And then hit save. Once you hit that save button, it is live in all of your jobs that are linked with the old shop. So very similar with the new shop. If you copy here in SnapShield and then come up here to shop settings, scroll down, and you will see how to protect your images. So it defaults to the Got Photo native. All you got to do is click on SnapShield and then paste the embed key here and hit save. Again, once you hit that, it is live for all galleries, all jobs, past, present, and future. So that is all you have to do. Those are the only 2 places to put those. If you put these keys in the job, I have a lot of people that are struggling and they're putting it in the advanced settings here. And so they're putting it down here. That is not the place to put it. Okay. Also, I have a lot of people that are copying and pasting that code for every single job. That will break it. You only have to do it once. Set it and forget it, okay? Anytime that you want to edit something. If you want to edit a template, all you have to do is come in here, hit the edit button, make your edits, update the template, and it is live for all of your jobs that have that template. You don't have to repaste the code. You don't have to copy and paste anything. It is live, all right? Same thing with the generate page. If you come over here to your little edit button, and let's say you no longer want blackout, or you're currently on the blur, you can switch it to blackout. Or if you want to change your blur direction, from horizontal to thirds, click there, come down, make sure you hit the save button, and then again, everything's live. Still don't have to copy the embeds. You don't have to paste anything back into Got Photo. It automatically does it for you. So again, it's very, very simple in that aspect. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in here so you can see a couple of these once it loads. All right. So as you can see, here's that initial pop-up that comes up. I can't click off of it. I can't continue. Again, I have zero access until I actually agree to the terms. All right, so now if I go to Shop Now, you can see all the images, and because I have this on blackout, I go to try and take a screenshot, and those images black out. All right. So if I were to come over here and switch this from blackout mode to blur, hopefully it'll work, but sometimes it doesn't because the images are cached. Hey, there we go. So now you can see I've got that thirds. It stops, or it starts here in the middle, and then if I click the button, it'll switch that blur. Okay, so if they do take a screenshot, then it is going to be blurred there. So like I said, I like the blackout better. That's just my preference. That's what I teach everybody, is to do the blackout first. And then as you start to notice some of these things in your events page, and we'll go over that here in just a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and try and take a screenshot again, and it blacks everything out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is come back over to SnapShield, and now you're going to see the events page. All right, so you can see here, this is the consent that I just gave. Yep, 138. So that was the consent I gave. Here's timestamp, date stamp, consent given, and then it does give a user ID as well as the access code. Okay, again, if you have the lockout feature, this is here. If you do not have the lockout feature, you will not see this, and you will not see the unlock all. And then you can see the screenshots blocked here. All right. So you will see this red send to evidence page. And what this does is, if you notice that there's a lot of things going on here, right? So here's a long press. I'm going to go ahead and send that to evidence. So now what that does, as you can see, it popped all these. It actually sends it to this evidence page. So now I can very quickly see that, oh my goodness, okay, this user ID has 116 events and 91 of them are actual violations. So it's just kind of a quick way to glance and see exactly who's doing what, because when you first start with SnapShield, you're only going to have a couple of, maybe a page or two here. But after you've been on a while, you go through a season, you're going to have a lot of pages going on. Hopefully they're all green, because green is good. Blue is the screenshots blocked, and then purple is the long press. And then right click is also disabled. So when I right click, you can see my right click message comes up. it says it's disabled and being monitored, and I'm going to right click again. Again, it's still disabled, but that message doesn't pop up, so it's not quite as annoying, right? So now if I come over here and I refresh this page, you should see those right clicks as well. All right, so there's the right clicks, and then it's going to add that to the evidence if I send it to evidence as well. All right, and then the only other thing I really wanted to show you is that shield mode. So we'll go ahead, click on that, and we'll hit save. So now when I refresh, so again, nothing happens. You don't see anything. But if I come to another page and I come back, it's going to say welcome back. So if I try to grab a screen record, then I have to actually select that I'm back and then go back and screen record. And then every time I go back to the snipping tool, it's going to pop up that message. So there's really no way to really be able to get it without that message being there. So that's kind of how we get around snipping and so on the desktop. All right. So that, and again, that is the shield mode. Some people didn't want shield mode, or didn't want that feature, so that's why it's its own individual feature. So anyways, yeah, guys, so that is, that's kind of in a nutshell what we're looking at for the entirety of SnapShield. Like I said, it's a very, very simple system. It is making waves, and guys, I'm putting a lot of time into this to continue to make it better. Like I said, the big updates are the blackout feature on iPhone, which I'm very excited for. And coming soon is the app for Android, which once we launch that, I'll do another video to explain that and how that's going to help with Android users. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and my team, support@getsnapshield.com. And if you guys have any questions, please, please, please reach out, join the SnapShield user group. Just another little tidbit of advice. In Got Photo, there are about 1,000 different ways to set up your page. So if you're having any troubles, send me one of your links, because your setup might not be what my setup looks like. So I might log in and everything looks perfect, but if you're logging in and the blur is off or something is buggy, then send me a link so that way I can see exactly what you and your customers are seeing. And in that case, just turn off the blur and send me that link. You do still get the reporting even though the blur isn't on. So, yeah. Other than that, if you guys have any questions, please let me know. And again, just very, very much appreciate your support and your patience with all of this. And yeah, I'm just striving to make this as good a program as we possibly can. So, and if you're not a Got Photo user, definitely reach out. We are working on some new partnerships with some big platforms, but if your platform isn't currently integrated with SnapShield, I'd love to integrate with them. So yeah, definitely make that connection, and we'll see what we can do to make it work. All right, guys, appreciate you. Take care.